Welcome back to another episode of the 2024 NBA Draft Prospect Profiles here on the field of 68. My name is Rob Dauster. I got Randolph Childress with me. Today's episode is presented by Unified Healing. Harrison Ingram, North Carolina. I guess you can call him a forward. I don't know if he's necessarily a three. I don't know if he's necessarily a four. I think that he is. There were a lot of things that he did very well for North Carolina that brought everything together. And I guess what you're hoping is that translates to the next level if you are drafting Harrison Ingram, who finished the season averaging 12.2 points, 8.8 boards, and a couple of assists while shooting 38.5% from three. He is a former McDonald's All-American that finally lived up to the hype as a junior at North Carolina after leaving Stanford. So, Randolph, what do you make of Mr. Ingram?
I think the positives is the improved jump shot, playing with talent and playing with a guy like Armando Bacot and the guard play that he did at Carolina with Davis and L.A. Cadeau, shooting nearly 38%. I mean, he rebounds the ball extremely well for his size. Armando Bacot's probably upset with him because he's probably hurt his chances of continuing to run away with the Carolina rebounding records and hurt him with a couple of double-double attempts. But the positive is that I think he's improved jump shot, struggled mightily when he was at Stanford from behind the three-point line, only 31%. And so the improvement this year. He's still only 21 years old, Rob, as a guy that's been in college basketball for 3 years. So he's 21 years old, relatively young for a guy that's been in college that long. So I think someone will take him knowing his upside. The concerns I have will be this Carolina team defended. I mean, he competed on the defensive end. This team competed defensively, and as he did. So I think that looks like more of his niche. My concerns about his athleticism, but he has good size at 6'7", 235. But that seems to be, he's much more comfortable catching and shooting threes. He seems like he needs to be a 3-and-D guy to me to have long-term success right now. But I like his age. I like the improvement, the jump that he had. His workouts are gonna matter more, I think, than probably anybody that we've talked about today, because you just have so many concerns about what happened before and being in school as long as he was, and then if what you saw this year and trying to project that with him, I think his workouts will go a long way for him.
All right, so this is going to sound a little bit crazy, but I want people to stick with me here and kind of let me get through the thought process for what I'm trying to say here. Harrison Ingram reminds me, or at least if he's going to stick in the NBA, will want to remind me of somebody like a Kevon Looney. And what I mean by that is that Kevon Looney, when he was in high school and when he got to UCLA, kind of was viewed as this certain kind of thing, right? We're talking about a McDonald's All-American. We're talking about a top 10 recruit. We're talking about a guy that was a projected one and done. We're talking about a guy that was supposed to be this like star impact player going from high school to college, right? And it wasn't quite perfect for him going to college, and he gets to the NBA, and being the guy that he was his entire basketball career wasn't really working for him. Like, he just wasn't good enough to do all the stuff that he wanted to do at the NBA level in terms of being a star. So what he did was he didn't whine about it. He didn't complain. He didn't sulk. He didn't do anything. He just said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be the guy that is 6'10", 220 pounds, that runs around like a maniac, that makes my mark as a defender, that makes my mark as a rebounder, that's going to carve myself out a role in this very specific job that has an important value for one organization, right? More than anything else. And I'm going to make a career out of it. And Kevon Looney has been at the Golden State, with the Golden State Warriors, for what would that end up being? I think 4 NBA championships, winning 4 rings. He's been there since 2015. And he has been a big piece of some of those teams that have made runs over the course of the last couple of years. Harrison Ingram is a similar guy in the sense that he was a McDonald's All-American. He was a top 10 recruit. He was a guy that was projected to be like a lottery pick coming out of high school. Didn't work as a freshman, didn't really work as a sophomore. As a junior, he found success as kind of that like 3-and-D role guy, a defender and a rebounder and a floor spacer at North Carolina. And I think if he wants to stick in the NBA, he's got to lean all the way into this idea that I am a guy that's going to make a shitload of threes and switch and guard anyone that they need me to on the perimeter and be able to get some rebounds and get some stops as well. I think that's kind of the best case scenario if you are Harrison Ingram. Buy all the way into that role, make yourself a 3-and-D guy, and hopefully that is something that will allow you to stick in the league for a while. Because he does have the skill set to be able to do a little bit more than that, right? Like he can pass, he can play off the bounce. There's a reason why he was a McDonald's All-American. But make your bread and butter be this one thing and add value with this other stuff that you can do. Whether you are a world-class athlete or a podcaster like me, we all understand the importance of mental and physical well-being and proper recovery for top-notch performance. After a 6-month season loaded with cross-country travel, I can promise you that proper recovery is a priority for me these days. That's why I'm excited that Unified Healing is sponsoring this episode of The Field of 68. Unified Healing is a new and super innovative global network of wellness centers powered by Energy Enhancement System, or the EE system. If you haven't heard of the EE system yet, you'll want to listen up. This technology promotes wellness, deep relaxation, purification, and rejuvenation. Whether you're here in New Jersey or at one of the hundreds of other locations across the globe, access to a center is easy and affordable. If you're interested in experiencing the EE system technology for yourself, go to unifiedhealing.com/unified68 to learn more and find a center near you. That's UNIFYD healing.com/UNIFYD, the number 6, the number 8. No material or testimonials on the Unified Healing website are intended to be viewed as medical advice or as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment, and before undertaking a new healthcare regimen, including the EE system.
No, I agree with you, Rob. I mean, I understand what you're saying. You're not comparing him to a 6'10" guy, but just saying the correlation of that when you're the McDonald's All-American and you don't start out your career kind of sizzling, and for him to transfer and everything just seems to come together. I completely agree. Um, a little better, like you said, than people give him credit for, but I think nobody's going to put the ball in his hands to come off ball screen and make plays or anything like that. I think the 3-and-D guy would be his calling in a league where there's so many big wings. He has the physical size to make that commitment. And like I said, I think his workouts, getting in front of teams and letting them see his workouts and seeing with their own eyes, I think is something that'll go a long way with him, and where they can say, hey, we've seen the improvement in the jump you made last year. I think it just will help him. And again, in a draft like this, where there's going to be so many question marks with so many guys, if he shoots it well in some workouts, I could see somebody taking maybe in a late first round or early second round pick, whatever he's projected to be. But I think his workouts will dictate where he goes. He has probably the largest scale to me of the guys that we've discussed, where I felt like everybody else was a surefire first round pick. He's a guy I think that slides anywhere from late first to middle of the second round.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to end up being a second round pick, whether
Yeah,
that is in the 30s or the 50s. It's
yeah,
all going to
yeah.
depend on what kind of role he wants. He might be one of those guys. I think back to someone like a Fred VanVleet or a Nas Reed who kind of makes themselves go undrafted so he can go to the right landing spot that he wants to be at and maybe finds the most success with. But he's going to be a guy that I think is going to get to the league and have to prove that he can do this certain job to be able to stick around for a while.
Won't get an argument from me there. I mean, he's going to have to. I think said three. I think it's the 3-and-D guy. It's got to be a commitment on the defensive end of the floor, which we saw from him, and I think offensively he is a little bit better than people probably give him credit for. It'll be the intriguing thing. Will be that's why I said late. When I go, I mean really late first round, early second round. If he goes to the right, a good team, I don't think he's a guy dynamic enough offensively that needs to go in the early second round of some of those better teams. I think he'll fit in better with the more experienced team and a bunch of veteran guys around him.
Yep. All right. Listen, this was another episode of the NBA Draft Prospect Profiles here on the field of 68. Make sure you keep it tuned here. We're going to be doing a lot of this NBA draft content over the course of the next month. So for Randolph Childress, my name is Rob Dauster. We'll see you on the next episode.